Good morning, 10th class. Today we will discuss the last chapter of this book, that is Outcomes of Democracy. Now, from the beginning to the end of this book, we knew about the term democracy, and previously we have read, if we go to the term of democracy, everyone knows about what is democracy. So the answer is very much clear that when we people have right to vote, choose our representative, and certain rights are there, people can make their association, they have the freedom of expression. So I think all these things we people know about it. But here the question is that what is the true democracy and what are the outcomes of democracy? So when we go to the title, that is how do we access democracy outcome, means suppose in our country, or we are the largest democracy of the world and the oldest democracy is America. So when we talk about all these things, what is the access, how do we access the democracy outcome, मतलब हमें इसका result क्या मिलता है when we people have democracy in our country. So certainly, five characteristics which are given here, we will discuss them. Like democracy promotes among equality among citizens, and it enhances the dignity of individual. Enhance the dignity of individual. Remember many examples we have discussed in ninth class. So means particularly when a person is living in any democracy, the right should not be exploited by any segment of society or any fellow being. Another is improve the quality of decision making. Decision making, when we talk about the representatives, leaders, so they must have the power of decision making, means they should not be the puppet in the hands of other kind of powers. Then provide a method to resolve conflict, means the government should have such kind of capability that they resolve the conflicts, means any right, any kind of dispute is taking place, the government must have, the leader must have this power to settle down the dispute in society. Another is allow the room to correct mistakes. This if you remember, means this can be happen in only democracy, like when any mistake is done by any leader, so they can apologize, or they can you can say means when sometimes reporters or journalists ask some question, or by mistake they uh, delivered some false statement, or some kind of this kind of activities when take place. So if they feel apologize in front of media, so in the sense we can say that this allows, means if person is saying sorry, so everything be sorted down. Or other kind of thing, like sometime the criminal activities taken place in society, in politics even, or at that time they people uh, come in front and feel like the particular thing is done by them. So this kind of, means any mistake can be improved in democracy, but it cannot happen in other kind of government. So let's begin. This all was introduction. So here the caricature is given before you, try to understand this. Is democracy is all about copying the multiple pressure and accommodating diverse demands. So this is up to you, what you understand by this caricature. So let's begin. Like in last year we read all about the discussion of in ma'am Lindo's class. Like many children were there and they were discussing about all democracy. So what the explanation ma'am had given, and how the discussion took place, I think that is with you. So, when we see about democracy, it emerged from the conversation of democracy is better form of government. Generally, or many times we read about that democracy is the best form of government, yeah, better than other government. So, when compared with dictatorship or any kind of alternative, we say that democracy is better than other. The reason behind the five we have discussed. So that is why, and more countries are adopting this kind of government. So these are the expectation when we raise this question, under the democracy can be possible. So when we talk about the people around us, most of them support democracy. Why? The reason behind that, that we people generally feel free, we have rights, we can express our thought, ideas. So this is because that more and more countries are adopting this kind of government. So such rule by the monarch or military or a religious leader, but not so many of them about which satisfy with the democracy in practice. तो और अगर कोई हम किसी तरीके का गवर्नमेंट है तो वहाँ शायद उतना सेटिस्फेक्शन नहीं होता जितना कि डेमोक्रेसी में. सो वी फेस डायलेमा. डेमोक्रेसी इज सीन टू बी गुड or uh, to be good in principle but felt to be not so good in the practice. Sometimes you have seen ki many countries, like last year we read about Pakistan, Bangladesh or the Islami countries. So we have seen कि कई बार ऐसा होता है डेमोक्रेसी दिखने में बहुत अच्छी है लेकिन अंदर से ये उतनी अच्छी नहीं होती. रीज़न बिहाइंड, तो ये क्या करती है, दिस इज़ द डायलेमा इनवाइट अस थिंक हार्ड अबाउट द आउटकम ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी. मतलब इसका जो रिजल्ट है वो उतना परफेक्ट नहीं आता जितना कि इसके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, इसकी टीचिंग्स या इसके डिस्कशन में हम देखते हैं. अगर हम कहें ऑल इन ऑल इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द पॉलिटिशियंस, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द लीडर. मीन्स हाउ फार लीडर आर थिंकिंग अबाउट द कंट्री. तो जितना भी है ना, कहना चाहिए कि तारोमदार किस पर है, सारा आपके लीडर्स पर है. अगर लीडर ऑनेस्टली काम कर रहे हैं, ऑब्वियसली द रिजल्ट विल कम ऑनेस्ट. तो एक परफेक्ट सिस्टम कहाँ से आएगा? इट विल कम फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट साइड. और गवर्नमेंट्स में क्या है, जो लीडर है, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है, इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन देम. So do we prefer democracy only in moral sense? Remember, this same question is repeating when we read in power sharing, moral reasons and prudential reason. Moral reason when we have the feeling of adjustment, and prudential means when government is taking decision, thinking after, means like the dispute will take place, or means how can they sort out the problem which cannot take place in future, which may be harmful for the democracy. So these particularly two question arise when we discuss this term, that is moral reason and prudential reason. Now when we see that more than 100 countries in the world today claim and practice such kind of democratic politics, and they have formal constitution. Now formal constitution means, for a democracy constitution is required, that is must. And when constitution is there, we know the system of democracy, that in democracy election are held and they have parties and they guarantees the right of citizen. मतलब जहाँ इलेक्शन है, इलेक्शन हुए तो क्या है, नीड्स एंड डिमांड्स आर देयर, पीपल have some faith in that kind of system, and they believe that new government will provide them new guidelines, new safeguard, new rights, or means somewhere they feel the firmness about the system. So while these features are common to most of them, these democracies are very much different from other in the terms of social situation, their economic and achievement and their cultures. Clearly what may be achieved or not achieved under these democracies will be very different. ठीक है, जो सिस्टम है वो होगा नहीं होगा इसका भी बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क पड़ता है, ये भी एक तरीके से डिफरेंट है. बट देर इज़ समथिंग दैट कैन एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम डेमोक्रेसी जस्ट बिकॉज इट इज़ डेमोक्रेसी. तो होता है ना, कोई चीज़ कई बार ऐसे कोई हम आइटम खरीदते हैं, कोई भी चीज़ है, बिकॉज इट इज़ ब्रांडेड दैट्स वाई आई एम परचेजिंग, क्योंकि वो उसका एक ब्रांड है या फिर वो मेरी नीड के अकॉर्डिंग है. तो ऐसे ही डेमोक्रेसी क्या है, द पीपल, द कंट्री हु आर हैविंग सच काइंड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, मतलब वो उसमें बिलीव करते हैं कि विदाउट दिस सिस्टम आवर कंट्री कैन नॉट रन स्मूथली. तो ये इसके पीछे का भी एक रीज़न हो सकता है. द स्टेटमेंट इज ओनली फॉर शेकिंग for the sake of understanding. So our interest and fascination for democracy often pushes us into a taking position that democracy can address all socio-economic political problems. हम ये मानते हैं कि इसके होने से सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हमारी सॉर्ट आउट हो जाती है। इफ़ सम ऑफ आवर एक्सपेक्टेशंस आर नॉट मेट, वी स्टार्ट ब्लेमिंग। तो होता ही है, ये डेमोक्रेसी में नहीं, हर जगह तो आप नहीं बोल सकते, बट डेमोक्रेसी में क्या है, यू मस्ट क्रिटिसाइज गवर्नमेंट, हमेशा होता है दूसरी गवर्नमेंट। इफ़ यू हैव मोनार्की एंड डिक्टेटरशिप, तो वहाँ तो आपको फ्रीडम ही नहीं है, बिकॉज इफ़ यू आर टॉकिंग अगेंस्ट ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट देन यू विल बी बिहाइंड द बार। सो यहाँ पर क्या है, दिस मच ऑफ डिस्कशन यू कैन हैव। सो और वॉट we are doubting, if we are living in a democracy, the first step towards taking carefully about the outcome of democracy is to recognize that democracy is just form of government. अगर हम ये सोच के चलें कि नहीं, it is not by the politician or politics, it is only a form of government, so it can only create a condition of achieving something, but citizens have to take advantage those conditions, achieve those goals. So let us examine by some you can say characteristics of democracy in the next term, that is accountability, responsibility, legitimacy, and other many things we will discuss. So it was the introduction regarding like how do we access democracy outcome. So we'll stop this video here. Thank you.